Good evening once more. This is Brian Parfait, second lessons for building Windows 8 applications from beginners to professional. In this lesson, we're going to work with Visual Studio IDE. We can work on our first applications. This will be an English version, and I hope you enjoy it. During this lesson, we'll have a plan. We'll start by introducing the Visual Studio IDE. We'll move on straight on to creating our first application, Hello World application. Then we'll talk about our second application, which will be a news blog, but that will be created during the third lesson. Now, on to Visual Studio IDE. The Visual Studio 2012 Express Edition, which is free, as if you've been watching the previous video I said, which is free to download. The Visual Studio Express Edition 2012, after installation, I think we went through the installation procedures in the first video. After installations, you're presented with this interface. As you can see, right now we have no project running. However, we can see you have a Solution Explorer. We'll use this a lot. You have your toolbars, we use it a lot, and your toolbox, which gives you access to regular tools you use in Visual Studios. I'll just go around and open the one I have installed on my machine so we can have a view of that. Now, while it's opening, as you can see, this is the same interface you have in the slides. Now, the Visual Studio 2012 for Windows 8 allows you to build Windows 8 applications, like we said during the last video, and all Windows 8 applications allow you to come up with applications that function on the Windows 8 operating system, and these applications are sold on the Windows Store. The previous video, I think I went about talking about all the advantages you could benefit from working with building Windows 8 applications. So one of the things that we'll do during this video, because Visual Studio 2012 allows us to develop Windows 8 applications in a variety of languages. For example, you can see we could develop applications in JavaScript, with Visual Basic, with Visual C#, with Visual C++, and XAML. Now, during this session, we're going to work how to build Windows 8 apps using JavaScript and Visual C#. For those of us who are used to websites and web design, JavaScript is a very common language, and as you would see, it's really easy to build apps with Visual Studio 2012. When you launch a new project wanting to build a JavaScript app, you have this window. If we open back as Visual Studio, we have open, you click on File, New Project, and then you select what JavaScript and Windows Store. You have a couple of templates here that are already done for you that gives you a quick start into developing your apps. We'll talk about these later as we go through the lessons. However, today we'll be working with blank apps, just an app that prints the word Hello World on the screen. Now, let's say we'll call that app our app Hello World, and we click on OK after we've selected blank app here. So we select Windows Store, blank app, and then you click on OK. Oh, sorry, we have another project already called Hello World, so we're going to create another one called Hello World. So let's say we'll call this Hello World 2, and we click on OK. Visual Studio takes a while, generates us our templates. Now, the interesting thing is our IDE has been populated with a couple of codes. What you should note around here is the Solution Explorer. The Solution Explorer lists all the files that are present in this particular package for our Hello World app. What you should take note or take home is a default.html page that would allow us see our default page. Just like you have websites, and those of us who are used to websites, you realize that websites, you have a default page or an index page. That is the first page you work with. So in XAML, in JavaScript applications, we also work with the default file. So if we click default file, we'll see the code that is written in HTML, and you can go and edit this code, and it's very indicative. As you can see, it says divide the code and directly tells you the content goes here. So if we just replace, as easy as ABC, if you just replace this with hello world, sorry, and you save this application, would actually build it so that we check solution for errors in the applications. As you can see, the build is succeeded, 0 fails, 0 update, 0 skipped. So this application built successfully. To see how this would run in our Visual on a Windows 8 operating system, we click on local machine. This would allow it to install the application on our local machine, and would see this application functioning as if it were installed and is currently being tested on our local machine. Give it some time. There you go. So application is running, it's printed hello world on the screen. So you can see it's very easy to develop or start up working with Visual Studio 2012, working with JavaScript applications. There's also an emulator that will allow you to simulate how your applications are going to run on various devices having different screen sizes. So if we want to look at that, this allows us to modify the design of our applications, changes if need be. If we click on simulator and select that, then you click on play button, it's going to show us how this application is going to be interpreted on various tablet devices and other smart devices. As you can see down here, we have already a tablet type of screen saying welcome, and our application is loading behind. Would have it come up in a minute. What you should take home is you can see how your applications will work with different devices, when they're flipped, when they're touched, and everything. So I think we're all done. Good. Oops. Okay, good. So that's our application showing hello world, and just like you could flip tablets, you could flip this tablet to see how it's going to behave, and there you have hello world. And so it's really some cool features, giving you a simulator on how hello world will run. So that gives us an overview of writing a simple app that prints stuff to the screen. Take, for example, you want to write an app that allows users to read a novel, your favorite novel, a book you're writing, the Bible, any interesting literature. You could just fill in content there, come up with a JavaScript app, and you're done. Everyone can access it on the Windows Store and use it. We'll now move on to working with the Windows Visual Studio for C#, developing this same Hello World application, even though we'll tweak it a little bit. So I'll go close my simulator. So it's signing out, and I'm going to start off with a new project, this time selecting Visual C#, Windows Store, and this time I'll continue with a blank project. Let's call this Hi Cameroon. Spelling so funny today. Hi Cameroon. So take OK again once more. This time our project is loaded, and as you can see we have a different interface. Now this is because we are using C# instead. You don't see the default .html page. You see a couple of different sets of page files found on your Solution Explorer. These are the files that C# is going to use and your application is going to work with. If we go to our slides once more, you find we're supposed to be here, where we develop apps. No, sorry. With the year where we're selecting developing apps using Visual C#. Now, with our C# open, there are a couple of things you want to note. Right now, for those of us who are familiar with programming in Visual Basic and Visual C#, you realize this is your normal programming syntax and references. You have libraries being called for which we're going to use, but this doesn't really concern the users we target with this video, since they're for novices and everyone who has no idea about what goes on with programming. Now, like we did this time, the main page that we're going to go is called not default.html, the main page.xaml. Now, before proceeding, let's talk a little bit about XAML. XAML is an external application markup language. It's a declarative language, and it's another version of XML that all of us knew came up from HTML. So most of the codes you see in XAML try to follow the patterns that were used in HTML and the XML languages. So if you're used to any of those languages, I'm sure XAML is going to be quite easy to grasp. This file and corresponding slides will be found on the blog, so if you ever want to go through them or read, you can always find them there. Now back to our application. Let's see where we are. We're done with JavaScript Hello World replacing a content. We are now working with Visual C#, trying to go and create our Hello World application. So how do we do this? On the main page .xaml.cs, and we'll work with the main page.xaml.cs and main page.xaml. We've already opened main page.xaml, and we have to open main page.xaml.cs. Give me a minute. There you go. So these are the two pages we are going to be working with the developer application. As you can see, the IDE here, an IDE stands for Integrated Developer Environment, that allows developers to develop applications. Now the IDE here gives us two windows. As you can see, this window indicates to you how your application is going to look like, and this is the code that generates this. It's all XAML code. For those of us who are a little bit familiar with HTML, you see tags being open and closed, tags being open and closed, and for anything you want to do, just like with HTML, and for the novices, you have to put them between the tags. So if I type www, it's actually going to be found here, because the grid tag is actually what this square bracket right here. We can divide the grid tag into various sections and put content into various sections, just like you would have in a table, in an Excel sheet on a Word document. So we'll work with splitting the grid later on, and applications that use different portions of the grid later on. Now back to our PowerPoint slide. All we have to do here is move into copy this code. We're going to talk a little bit more about the code. Copy this code, and we could paste it between our grid. When you paste it, what this code has done is that created a button called Click Me. So what we did here was we created a stack panel. Stack panel is actually a method that belongs to the library coming up from the library class called windows.ui.xaml.controls stack panel. And inside our stack panel, we want to do two things. We want to put a button that has the content Click Me, and has an event, has a click method called click hello button underscore click. You also have a text box, and which allows to display text. So this text box right now you can't really see it, but you would see it appear when we run the code. So we have two things created here: the text inside our stack panel. We have a button, as you can see it's highlighted, and we have a text box. So the text box, good, you see it's selected there, and we would work with text box later. So like what we're going to do is we want the user to be able to click me, and text should appear in the text box. This is done by double clicking on the Click Me button, and when you do that, it takes you to the main page.xaml.cs file that we're supposed to work with, and it creates an event called hello button underscore click. An event simply would wait for events to take place and respond to those events. So in our case, we're talking about an event of the button being clicked. Now we collect the code for display text.text. It's equals to hello world. Copy that and we paste it inside. Copy that and we paste it inside our event handler. So we have display text.text is equals to hello world. What is display text.text? Display text.text, if you remember, is the name of our text box. Display text. So we're saying the display text, this text box, which name is display text, its property called text, which means the property that it's going to hold called text, should be equals to hello world. Now that's all done. We can save our application and we build it as we did before for any errors, and you see it's successful. We run on the local machine or on a simulator as we did previously, and you see there we have a button. If we click on it, we have hello world. Now that kind of wraps up our lesson 2. Just stop debugging. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to close it like that. And we are done for today. We're waiting. Next, we're going to be talking about how to develop a blog reader. That will be the next app we'll be doing. Blog readers will allow our application to read blogs on the internet and print their contents to our phones, to our tablets, to our Windows 8 operating systems. So we'll be working on that. Sorry, I still have this old links available. I'm going to change those as soon as possible, and so you have an updated version on the blog. Once more, I'm Brian Parfait. Bye, and see you next week.